What's up everybody, it's Melonie Mac here, and this video is extremely important to me because I am obsessed with Tomb Raider, as you can see here. And for those of you who don't know me, I just want to preface by saying this is a video and impressions from a hardcore fan of the series for over 20 years. And Tomb Raider has changed my life. It's my biggest obsession. And a lot of you watching this already know that. So I want to preface by saying that. So you're getting... And this isn't just going to be a general, like, gaming overview of this, like, from a gamer perspective. It's from an obsessed fan perspective. So I'm going to get really, like, into this and nerd out about this. So I have notes and everything, which I almost never do. I never have notes for videos. But because this is so important to me and because there are so many crucial things that I want to mention, I have my notes so that I won't miss anything. So from the get-go, I got invited to the Los Angeles Shadow of the Tomb Raider reveal event where we got to see, like, the trailer early, but not only that, but most importantly, we got to play a bit of the game. So I played it twice. I was going to play it 3 times, but they closed it down by the time I was trying to play again. So the first time I spent an hour. Mind you, if you're just, like, breezing through it, it's probably, like, 20 minutes. But I basically was trying to break the game with how much I wanted to look at and wanted to see and wanted to test out and all that stuff. So I really got a lot and took in a lot. So I had a great time and I'm, like, really excited that I got to be a part of this and that I got to do this. I wish so bad that the demo was, like, available. I think that they should just release that portion of the game for everybody to play. Like, there's probably no way they would do that, but I think they should, because I think it would kind of, like, tell itself to everybody in a way, and that's, like, the best way to experience it, in my opinion. Just get your hands on it and play it. But anyway, I digress. I can't play more of it, which is a bummer, because I want to play it so many more times. There's so many things that so many things, so many feels. So while I was there, one awesome thing too is they had these sweet swag bags, and this is a candle with the Shadow of the Tomb Raider artwork on it. And then look at this Jaguar. What? And then the Tomb Raider thing on it. Like, it's a Jaguar. And there was a little montage-y clip that played of some, like, gameplay stuff after, and there was Jaguars in it. So I think that's why that was obviously a swag item. So that was super cool. But yeah, enough of that. On to the important stuff. I'm sorry, I keep messing with my hair. It's just like, I just got up, put my makeup on, and didn't really do... My hair is leftover styled from yesterday, so I'm all self-conscious about it. But anyway, so let's just dive into my impressions and things on my bullet points here that I have, the things that I listed out. I made a big long post on Tomb Raider forums, but I kind of want to, like, talk about it and things like that. So I'm going to start off just talking about the character model, because that was a big thing for me. You see some screenshots that they released, but I don't feel like you don't see her face, and then you don't see, like, I don't know, you're not able to just pan the camera around and really take a good look at the character. So that was... My cat's trying to get out. My goodness. All right, I'm back. So the character models, they changed them a lot. Especially if you look at, like, the rebooted Tomb Raider, and then you see the definitive edition, they even changed her face a lot from there. And then, of course, from that to Rise of the Tomb Raider is a huge difference. So I'm like, what kind of changes are there going to be for Shadow? But it's literally, like, the exact same character model. They just made some tweaks on her. Like, the most important thing I feel like with the character model is on Rise, and I've posted on this so many times, especially on the Tomb Raider forums, is I feel like her eyebrows are always like this, and she's just always, like, helpless looking. Her expression, like, at all times is helpless looking. And I made posts about this a lot, and I'm like, seriously, all they gotta do is, like, change the eyebrows, or just, like, make her not look so scared 24/7, like, perpetually. And that, thank goodness, was fixed. And so there's some things that a lot of the fans, like, complain about her hair. For example, her hair kind of looks like a mullet and it's puffy. That has not been changed whatsoever. It's still like that. But I feel like the important things were changed, and that was her expression. So she looks confident, and she's like, not perpetually scared looking. So even when she does have those moments of fear or sadness, she doesn't look helpless and super dramatic. It looks more natural, and that was a huge thing for me. So I love seeing that. I love seeing a more confident expression going on, like, pretty much constantly. And her arms, I cannot even begin to express. Her arms are like, I'm motivated. I told Jen Croft, one of the cosplayers, which I know a lot of you guys know her, I told her, I was like, girl, teach me how to get on an exercise regimen so I can get arms like her, because her arms are like, and you can't even tell totally from the screenshots, because in the screenshots she has like the longer shirt on, but from when I played she had like that turquoise top that like the cosplayers were wearing and stuff, and that's from like this image here, but her arms are ripped. They are like shoulders, biceps, triceps, like boom, and very cut. And there's like, yeah, because if you see in Rise, her arms are a lot more soft, but no, they are freaking boom, yes. And it looks like her overall body is a little thicker. She's not like thick, but she is definitely stronger. It looks like her legs are a little stronger too, but it's a little hard to tell with her pants. But anyway, so the character model, big win for me. You know, I'm not digging the mullet looking hair, but I can live with it, so it's fine. It's a big improvement. Now the next thing I want to talk about is the voice acting, because another big complaint that I had about the reboot and Rise was Lara's voice. Like, I always liked Camilla's voice itself, but I felt like the acting, I felt like she was directed to overact and directed to be super dramatic and everything. Like, I need to find, and it was just like every word was so dramatic, dramatized, overacted, and I don't know, it took me away. I could not just get in to the character and relate to the character at all, because she was so dramatic in the other two games. Okay, so as I'm editing my video, I realized a couple minutes or so were just completely cut out of what I recorded. So I don't know how that happened, but like my video I filmed for like 30 minutes straight talking, and then when I'm editing it, there are like chunks of it just gone. I don't know. So I'm okay, back to the topic here. So regarding the voice acting, a huge improvement. Like you actually hear, like at the beginning of the first dialogue, you hear Lara talking to Jonah, and she's like nerding out about things, and it's the way she talks is a lot more natural, and it sounds a lot more real. It's not so dramatic, not every word is drawn out and all that stuff. So it's so good, and it makes you relate more to her, and it makes Lara feel more like a person, and that's just a huge thing, because I didn't really feel that from the reboot and Rise Lara, because she was just like so dramatic. And so now it's like, okay, she's not super dramatic anymore, she's just keeping it real, and she's like, and it just feels so natural, it feels so real. And like Camilla really did an amazing job, and obviously she's so talented. You hear the way she talks in like Rise and in the reboot, she doesn't talk like that in anything else that she does, like in her acting and her anything. And so it's like, clearly it was a direction issue, in my opinion, from the other games, and that's the reason why I wasn't happy in the other games with her voice, because I feel like she was directed like that, and I didn't like it. And so now I feel like she is like, we're seeing Camilla's potential and her skills and her talents, and like, and her voice. I'm like, dude, I'd be happy if she voiced Lara for so many more games, if it was this direction, because she did so good, and that was a huge thing for me. So there's that. So yeah, at the beginning of the demo, like you hear Lara nerding out to Jonah about like her findings, the artifacts, and like everything that she's looking for, and she's just like super excited about it. And it's so cool to see that, her talk like that, and her to be like super into it. You see more of her personality in that way, because she's actually fascinated about archaeology, and it shows, and it's very exciting. And then Jonah's like, what? And she's just like breaking it down. I don't even understand everything she's saying, because I don't understand all this stuff. I don't know all this mythology. I don't understand all these symbols and all these things, but she gets it. She's nerding out about it. It's just so fun to see her that passionate about it, and just to do her thing. So she goes through that, and then like as you walk through the town and stuff like that, there's a lot of interaction that Lara has, just talking, some dialogue between her and Jonah. Now I spent so much time just not even progressing, because I wanted to trigger the dialogues, like different options, so I could hear different things. And one thing that made me so freaking happy was Jonah mentioned Jaffa cakes to Lara, and as a lot of you know who like have read the comics and stuff, like Jaffa cakes are Lara Croft's favorite food, the rebooted Lara, and like it's never mentioned in any of the games though, and so it's like, okay, but now it's actually mentioned in the games. It's just stuff like that just gives her some personality, and it's like, yes. So he said something like, so if I find some Jaffa cakes, I should probably get some, right? And she said, something along the lines of, yeah, I would take some, or I don't remember the exact dialogue, but it was funny. It made me smile. I was like, yes, that's Lara, you know? And so that happened, and then they would just like banter back and forth about some things, and like Lara would crack a little joke here and there, and it was funny. Like, it was great. It was like, okay, like some personality. Just we're seeing some personality, which was really cool. And one other line that I really liked was there was a kid who was selling these sparklers. I don't even know for sure what they're called, but like the firework looking things, the sticks that you hold that sparkle. And I don't understand exactly how it works, but I don't know if you do it in memory of like loved ones, like Day of the Dead, stuff like that. So Lara mentioned something of the effect of, oh, I should get one for my mother because her mom's dead. So something like that was just like, okay, you get this like personal side of Lara, and it was just cool to see just the random little dialogues like that. And another time she's like in a crowd, and she tells Jonah something like, I'm not used to crowds, because, you know, she's introverted and all that. And then Jonah's like, yeah, not unless they're deathless ones or something, which was really funny because it was just that, you know, jokes and things, you know. But I loved it. It was, you see a more human side of Lara and Jonah even, and it was great. So Lara is finally feeling like a person, and like she's not just a dramatic shell. Like, she actually is a human. She has things that she likes. She has her jokes. She, you know, she's just, it's great. I really like that. So that was a big win for me. And my cat's meowing at the door. I just let him out. Now he wants back in. That's just how cats are, man. I did add some new features though, and one of them is repelling, which I think is really fun. So you use the dual axes, and when you're climbing up or down a rock or something and you want to go to a lower level, you can repel and just lower yourself. You can swing on the rope. You can also wall run, which, you know, we've seen in like with the grapple in like the LAU era, Legend Anniversary Underworld era for Tomb Raider. So you are able to do that like wall run back and forth with the rappel rope and jump to where you want to go and stuff like that. There was one part where I kind of broke the game a little bit, and because I didn't rappel down, so I was still hanging on to the ledge with her dual axes, and I just jumped right, and I swear she jumped like 30 feet and still grabbed the ledge. So I kind of broke the game with that. And then whenever I did that, she wasn't able to, I was like, why isn't this working? Because then I dropped to like grab with the axes and it wouldn't work. It'd make me go through it. And I was like, why is this happening? And then one of the guys there, they told me, they're like, oh yeah, it's because you weren't supposed to do that. So I kind of broke the game there, which was funny. But yeah, I thought, they're really bringing it classic if I could jump 30 feet over there. So, well, I don't know if that was funny. But, I mean, stuff like that's to be expected. So it was just a minor little thing that happened at one part, which I'm sure they're probably going to fix now. But yeah, so anyway, once I rappelled down there, got over there, rappelled again, swung to the entrance of the tomb. And the tombs are the tomb itself, I only saw one tomb, so I don't need to be like pluraling this, but it's cool because, and this is something that they mentioned at the actual presentation too, is Rise had a lot of like beautiful tombs, and they were like more modern and stuff though, because they, like, people have been there and all that. But the tombs in Shadow of the Tomb Raider are a lot more ancient feeling. They're a lot more gritty too, and it's like, okay, this is like, you feel like you're actually entering an uninhabited tomb. You're not just going into a tomb that people have just been in and discovered like recently and all that stuff. So that's really cool. I like that. The tomb itself, it was pretty linear, I would say, which, you know, this is the prologue part of the game, so I didn't expect it to be like this massive, you know, Last Revelation sized tomb or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, it felt pretty standard, similar to like a Rise of the Tomb Raider tomb, except just a little more like unrefined and gritty. But it was cool. I liked it. But the one thing though is Lara would talk to Jonah a lot on the radio, and I didn't like that. I mean, I think for that part it makes sense, but I won't like that if it continues throughout the whole game. I don't want it to feel like Legend where she's on her radio all the time. I love Lara being secluded and doing her own thing. So I don't I think with the way that it's set up and what I played, it's not going to be like that the whole time. I think just for this, granted, and I do have to say too, I have to give them credit. Is once she actually got inside the tomb, she's like, okay, I'm not going to have reception. I'm probably going to lose you. But there were still some parts that she would get reception again and talk to him. But there's just something about, I want to see Lara isolated exploring this on her own and not just on a radio. So I do hope that there's a lot less of that once the game progresses, which I think there's a good chance of, because I think the devs mostly know that it's usually not a favorite thing of people for her to be on the radio all the time. But we'll see. So anyway, there was that. And then another little critique I have is I don't like it whenever, like, I was exploring the tomb, every little area I could, and I wasn't progressing yet because I wanted to see every little thing and take in every little thing. So while I was doing that though, Lara's like, I should check what's in the water or something like that. And it's like, I hate that so much. I do not want to be nagged about what to do. I don't want in-game prompts telling me what to do. So I hope there's a way to turn that off, because I don't like that. I just don't like it. I want to explore, and I don't want to be told like what to do or when to do it and all that. So yeah. So speaking of water, there's the water mechanics in Shadow of the Tomb Raider are a lot more in depth than what we've seen before. And it's not just, okay, you're swimming on the surface and doing surface level stuff, or maybe barely you actually get to dive down and explore in the water. And that's such a huge part for Tomb Raider, and I feel like that's been a huge flaw with the reboot and Rise, is that, like, man, water exploration, like, this is a big thing for Tomb Raider. We need to see more of it. So that's definitely been improved on. And the thing about it though is still, I'm saving a lot of judgment for whenever, like, later on in the game, because the part I played was, like I said, it was still pretty linear. I'm at the prologue, so I wasn't just dropped in this huge water just to be able to do whatever I want. Like, there was still a path, but it's still, it was still cool being able to actually be immersed in that. And there were, like, little air bubble areas to where you could get air, because it's like, she's not going to be able to hold her breath as long as classic Lara can, because that's just way too unrealistic. But even so, she's still, you could tell, like, she's definitely athletic, and she can hold her breath longer than the average person. Absolutely, for sure. But the times that she was almost out of breath, it was gripping. I was having literal anxiety, because I'm like, breathe, girl, breathe. So that was cool. I mean, those moments of where you're almost out of breath and you're about to die, but you go ahead and find the surface, like, that happens, and that's really cool. So I like that. Let's see what else I wanted to mention here, because, like, I want to stay, like, on my schedule here of things that I'm talking about. Oh yeah, so the overall tomb itself, it was mostly linear, but there was still stuff in there, like, there were these, like, little hanging things, I don't know what's called, like, these little artifacts that were hanging from the wall, or from different parts of the wall, and we saw this in Rise as well. It was one of the challenges where you shot them all down. There were 5 of them, and so I made sure to explore that whole place, so I found all 5 of them, which was cool. It felt accomplishing, especially on this little demo area where I'm like, okay, yeah, I did it. So that was fun. There was an actual puzzle in there, and it was pretty good. Like, it was, I want to say it's kind of standard, though, to what you see in Rise, to where Rise still had some fun puzzles and stuff, but it was nothing like, Last Revelation level of difficulty. But it was, like, kind of physicsy based, mostly, and it was just, standard. So I liked it. It was a good puzzle. No complaints here. I don't think a prologue needs a super in-depth, challenging puzzle, so that's going to be, hopefully later on, we'll see some of that. Hopefully. We'll see. But, yeah, it seemed pretty standard. The tomb itself was, like, really cool. It was relatively big, especially when you're, like, looking at it. And so after I did the puzzle and progressed down, that's when she finds the artifact, which, I'm not going to go into super detail about this until after, when I, like, spoiler tag it, because it's a big integral part of the story. So, but I just got to say, Repelling down there and her seeing it and her, like, reading, like, or interpreting the art on the walls and stuff like that, like, she was fascinated. She jumps down and she, like, even smiles and, like, gasps and is like, oh my gosh, like, this is amazing, Jonah, like, look at all this. She's talking to Jonah on her radio, which, again, I prefer her not to be on the radio all the time, but still seeing her, like, really excited about it, just the enthusiasm and the excitement in her face, like, I was like, yes, this is what I want to see. Like, this is the excited Lara that I want to see. So yeah, she was very, very intrigued and very excited about what she saw. And she understood, what she was looking at. And Jonah's like, wait a minute, but what about this? And she's like, no, this. And like, yeah, I'll go a little more in detail about the big story important element later with the spoiler tag. So, yeah, so, and again, just before I get to that, which I'll lightly touch on the story here, is with Lara's personality, you're going to see her not be perfect. And that's about freaking time, because I feel like she's kind of been a Mary Sue character, even in the classics, where she's just too perfect, man. Like, she needs to feel more real. She needs to have flaws, and she needs to not do everything perfectly and right. And when it comes to the reboot, I feel like she was perfect in a hero element, where it's like, okay, sorry, I'm trying to keep up with my time. To where it's like she's always making the best decisions to help the most people and to do this and to do that. And like she, and of course it's good for her to want to help people and stuff. I'm not saying that she should be trying to hurt people. But what I'm saying is she just was always heroic, always making the best decisions for that particular situation. I don't know. I just kind of felt like that. And this time around, things are definitely different. And I'll go more in depth with the story, but I'm just going to say on the surface level, you're going to see her make mistakes. And you're going to see her make big mistakes. And even so, when she's confronted about it, she even makes a little excuses and stuff. And she's, you see a side of Lara that's flawed. And it's like, yes, I like this. I just makes her seem more human. It makes her character that much more likable. It makes her that much better. And so that's cool. She's got consequences, man. And so she's not just some perfect person. She makes mistakes. She has consequences. And that plays a huge role in what I've seen. So yeah. Let me think before I really go into depth in the story. Okay, yeah. So, okay. That's the basic gist of things. And like I said, I played it twice. I wish I could play it more. I was trying to play it that third time. I wish I had it at home because I would play it all the time. But yeah, it was just cool. And I think the most important takeaway here for me is just seeing Lara develop as a character. And this is where she should be. And I wish that she was more like this in the other two games. But I'm just grateful that she's here now because I didn't think she would be. Truthfully, I thought we were going to get a similar personality to Rise. So I have to say I'm very, very, very pleasantly surprised and excited about that. And it's just little things too with her outfit that she was wearing, at least on this part. She had that turquoise shirt and it looked kind of like the Underworld shirt too. And I'm like, yes, this is awesome. Or even the Guardian of Light. It looks similar. And so it's just those little things. It's okay, this is still Lara, you guys. This is still her. She's, still rebooted and different in ways, but it's still her. And I finally, for the first time in reboot history, felt in my heart okay, this is Lara. And I don't want the classic fans who hate the reboot to think that I'm saying it's different than it is, because it's still reboot Lara. So it's not oh, this is exactly classic Lara. It's not. But it feels like the spirit of Lara is within her, and it didn't feel like that with the other games, in my opinion. So that much, I think. So I think before I get to the spoiler discussion, which I don't consider it too much of a spoiler, but like I said, just for there's some people who don't want to know anything almost. But before I get to that discussion, I want to just say, if you're a fan of the games, if you're brand new to the games, you're going to love it, because how could you not? If you're already a fan and you're a lot more critical and have your glasses on and focusing every little thing, like we do, I think that if you absolutely hated Rise of the Tomb Raider, didn't enjoy it, didn't like the gameplay, didn't like anything, you're not going to like this either, because it's the same style, It's very much the same in a lot of ways, in the gameplay and all that. But if you were more like me and you loved the actual gameplay mechanics, but you wanted to see things tweaked, better tombs, better puzzles, better Lara, that I think that my impressions are very good, and that there's a really good chance that you're gonna love these changes, because I can't speak for improved tombs and puzzles yet because I haven't seen that much, but I can speak for an improved Lara, both like physically with her like muscles and stuff, and personality is just so much better, voice acting so much better. So that much you will definitely be able to appreciate. Now, if you're just if you loved every little bitty thing about Rise, then you're still gonna love everything about this too. So I mean, yeah, I think that the only people who wouldn't like this are gonna be people who just didn't like anything at all about Rise. I don't understand that. I don't understand because I really liked Rise. I just had some critiques, like some nitpick stuff, but that's just me. I don't have to understand everybody. Everybody's different. That's what makes the world special. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and talk a bit more about the story itself. So for those who do not want to know anything at all whatsoever, then you can go. I don't mean that in a mean way, but you can like close out now. But those who want to know a little more, like again, I don't even consider it spoilers. It's going to be everywhere. So if you haven't seen it, I'd be shocked. So yeah, basically you're starting out, Lara's trying to be incognito from Trinity. And like, oh, this is another thing I want to talk about is the poncho. Somebody, I don't even know what article it is, but there's some snippet about somebody trying to act like that's cultural appropriation. And that just like, oh, it makes me so salty. Here's the thing is I am a huge advocate of being respectful of other cultures. And I do not think that people should be endorsing cultural appropriation. But I think that there's a fine line, and that there's people reaching and just trying to make it offensive. There is nothing to be offended about here. And like, I was kind of tweeting about it with one of my friends, and then one of my followers who's Mexican replied, and he's just like, there's nothing offensive about this. Like, people are being ridiculous. And that's the thing is I feel like white people like to tell other people what they should be offended by. And that makes me so mad. And it's just like, I don't want to get on a rant here about this, but it's just like, okay, if some white person is going to say this is offensive, like, who are you to choose if that's offensive or not? You know what I mean? Lara is wearing a poncho and the sugar skull mask to blend in. Because here she is in Mexico. She's white. Not only that, but she's wearing gear and a gun and bow and all that stuff. So yeah, the poncho covers all that. Trinity is right there. She needs to be incognito. She needs to hide from them. So it makes sense. Like, it's not just her appropriating or not her like making fun of anybody. It's her blending in because that's what she needs to do. You know? And so I just don't understand how anybody can be offended by that. And it's just like, ugh, it's frustrating. Because I don't want to see people like that run it for the series. You know what I mean? It's because, here's the thing, it's Tomb Raider, it's Lara. She's going to be involved in a lot of different cultures, a lot of different people in future games. Like, and so there are going to be times where she needs to be, like, blend in with that culture. It's not appropriating, it's not anything, it's just that's practical for what she needs to do in that scenario. So she needed to wear that poncho and that mask because she blended in. Not only that's badass, like, I'm sorry, that's so freaking cool. How cool is that? And how, I just don't see, if I'm wrong, educate me in the comments, but I just don't think I am. Like, I felt like it was badass, I felt like it was cool, I felt like it was done plenty, like, very respectfully. I don't see the issue. So yeah, that's another thing. I don't want to get in a rant too much for that. But yeah, so anyway, she's there nerding out with Jonah, talking about, like, what she's looking for, and yeah, so they're there, Trinity's there, she needs to blend in, so she, like, has her poncho and her sugar skull, and so you, like, navigate through there, and you kind of follow Dominguez, who's, like, the leader there, and she says, too, she's like, I think Dominguez is the leader of Trinity, which, I don't know, I guess we'll see. Like, I don't know if that's just, if she was wrong and that's with her impression, or he actually is, but we'll see. So anyway, so she's following him, listening to them talk to each other and stuff like that, because, you know, they're after the artifact. And so she follows them, then she gets away, she, like, takes her poncho off, she jumps down, like, she sees these Trinity soldiers, like, two Trinity soldiers. You go up, you sneak attack, kill one, and then a Trinity soldier was about to kill this archaeologist guy, and Lara kills the Trinity soldier, and then, tells the guy, hey, like, I'm not gonna hurt you, all that, are you okay? And he's like, oh my gosh, I have to help my sister, she's on her way, I have to warn her, or whatever, and he goes away. So then she tells Jonah, she's talking to him, and she's like, hey, like, something's up here, they just tried to kill this archaeologist, I wonder if it's because of what he knows, and so she wants to explore more, so she finds the entrance to that tomb. There's like a skull over on this side, which is on one of the screenshots, you see it, and it's looking at it, at the entrance to the tomb. So, after she gets to the entrance to the tomb, solve the puzzle, all that stuff, then she finds the dagger, which, when she finds, like, well, there's these, like, paintings, like, on the wall or whatever, paintings, carving, some art form, however they did it, on the wall, and she's interpreting it. And so she sees the dagger, she sees a box, and she sees, like, chaos and all this stuff. And so she looks at the dagger, like, she's, like, enthralled by it, like, wow, fascinated by it. And then, like, before she picks it up, like, because Jonah's like, okay, Trinity soldiers are headed that way, you're gonna want to get out of there. So she, like, before she picks it up, she hesitates for a second, because it's like, I don't know, it kind of, like, almost hypnotizes her for a second, and she's like, oh, wait. But then, like, she grabs it anyway, and then, like, she looks up, and the walls start crumbling a little bit, and then she says to herself, like, what have I done? Oh, no. And so then she starts running, and she's like, Jonah, get to high ground. She starts running, the tomb collapses a little bit or whatever, and then she gets out there, and then the Dominguez was right there with his Trinity soldiers. They, like, hit her back or whatever, and she drops the dagger. And after she drops the dagger, I'm sorry if I'm, like, kind of spaced out, I'm trying to remember this as best as I can. So after she drops the dagger, Dominguez is like, oh, look at that, where's the box though, and she's like, it's in a safe place or whatever. She got an attitude, which I loved. She had an attitude with him the whole time, and she's like, it's in a safe place, like, I ain't gonna tell you. And he's like, oh crap, she doesn't have it. And he's like, do you realize what you've just done? And he's like, you just started the apocalypse, because and then she's like, I don't know, he mentioned, like, I don't remember exactly how it went, but basically because she started the apocalypse, the wall started caving down, and then she just makes this excuse, like, tremors happen all the time, like, that wasn't because of me or whatever. And it was just so great seeing her have that attitude. So he's like, I've got to go fix your mess now. I've got to go find that box, and I've got to, like, recreate the world, because you just really messed it up, girl. I've got to fix your mess. And that's just so funny to see the antagonist is like, I have to fix your mess because you just messed up. And so anyway, he gets, like, on his helicopter, and they go out, and then, like, all of a sudden they see, like, this tsunami, like, and Lara sees it, starts running, and then she gets caught up in it, and she's, like, in the water and, like, seeking high ground. So then you play through this part, and you're, like, trying to get to high ground, climbing on buildings and stuff like that. And so she climbs up on the buildings or whatever. You go through all that stuff, which is very hectic and very scary. People are, like, washed up, they're dying. You see it all around you. It's brutal. It's, like, real. It's like, oh crap, this is happening, and Lara started it. And so one of the most shocking parts is, as I was climbing, and I'm, like, shimmying over on the building, and there's a kid that's holding on to this, like, pole, and like, out the window, and he's, holding on for his dear life, and his mom or grandma or whoever it is on the other side is like, hold on or whatever. I think I heard that, but he's like, help me. And so while I was playing, Joey's next to me, he's like, oh shoot, he's gonna die. I'm like, no, he's not, I'm gonna save him, and he falls and dies. And I was like, I was in shock. I looked at Joey and I was like, did this really just happen? Like, no way. Because I don't know, I just assumed I was going to save the kid, but no, he dies. And so then I climb up, like, after Lara climbs and she rolls over, and it's just like, you just see reality hit her. And I know that's the thing, is some people are like, dude, did they have to do that, make a kid die like that? But I think it just was there for impact, because it just showed how serious what happened was, this is a, like, big mistake that Lara just made. Like, she literally, like, that kid died because of her, and she saw it. And she saw, like, all these other people in the town dying too. And so she rolls over and she's like, what did I just do? And Jonah is there. She's like, oh my gosh, Jonah. She runs up and she hugs him, and she's like, you know, traumatized and freaking out. And again, like I said earlier, like, it was acted really well, so it didn't seem overly dramatic. It seemed relatable, because, I mean, who wouldn't freak out over that? And then Jonah's like, we have to help these people. And she's like, but I have to go. I have to get the box before Trinity does, because they're going to try to remake the world and all this stuff. And then he's like, we've got to help these people first. They need our help. Like, what the heck? And so they have, like, this very dramatic, but not overly dramatic, like, it made sense, like, dialogue back and forth, and he's, like, putting Lara in her place even. He's like, girl, what are you even on about? We got stuff to do. Sit down. And she's like, we have to go find it. And he's like, what do we have? A riddle? Like, we got, like, pictures of fishes? How, that's what we're gonna go by right now, you know? And so she just, like, she kneels down and, like, looks at everything she's done. And it's like, oh crap. Yeah. That, like, I got teary-eyed on that part. I'm like, oh my gosh. She did that. And I just think that's so cool. It's like, this is, like, such a cool direction for the story, because it's something that she caused and she did, and it feels relatable. I mean, not like that people start tsunamis, but I don't know. It just felt like it actually happened. And so it was really cool. And so I'm under the impression that, I mean, of course I have no way of knowing, but I'm just guessing that from here, Jonah will probably be helping the people, and I'm guessing Lara probably, like, in the middle of the night or something will sneak out and try to find the box on her own. That's what I'm guessing will happen, and if that does, then that means, like, the radio dialogue will be less and all that. So I'll be happy with that if that happens. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a lot. I don't even know what to say. How long? I've been talking for 25 minutes. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so it's just deep, and I think that actually playing it and seeing it, you guys will feel more of the impact. So I do hope that some way they make it playable. They should, totally. I think they should. And then after that, it showed a montage of a bunch of different gameplay and stuff, which was really fun. And it's like, dude, this is definitely going to be the best Tomb Raider in a very, very long time. And I love the story. I love that she's actually responsible for it. She has to fix up her own mess here, you know? So it's like, wow. So anyway, that's what happened for me. That's what I saw. That's what I played. That's my impressions. And I'm ridiculously excited. I think, you know, everything I saw I'm very pleased with, very happy with. The only thing looking forward that I'm thinking of, that I'm anxious to see, is I do want to see more exploration. I want to see open world hubs, because I didn't see any of that. That's a huge, huge, huge deal to me, because I need to explore. I need to have things to explore. So I need the open world hubs. I need bigger tombs and more challenging puzzles. So I want to see more of that, and hopefully we do see more of that. But what I did see and what I did play was great. The story by far is, like, oh my gosh, gonna be the best. And the way that Lara was portrayed, like, I am ridiculously excited about this. So there you have it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments what you think. I'd love to nerd out with you about this. And yeah, I guess I'll catch you next time then. See ya. Peace.